I'm going to read you a story today. And our story is called 50 Below Zero. And our author is Robert Muchnick. Here we go. In the middle of the night, Jason was asleep. He woke up. He heard a sound. He said, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" Jason opened the door to the kitchen, and there was his father, who had walked in his sleep. He was sleeping on top of the refrigerator. Jason yelled, "Papa, wake up!" His father jumped up, ran around the kitchen 3 times, and went back to bed. Jason said, "This house is going crazy," and he went back to bed. Jason went to sleep. He woke up. He heard a sound. He said, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" He opened the door to the kitchen. No one was there. He opened the door to the bathroom. And there was his father sleeping in the bathtub. Jason said, "Papa, wake up!" His father jumped up, ran around the bathroom 3 times, and went back to bed. Jason said, "This house is going crazy." But he was too tired to do anything about it, so he went back to bed. Jason went to sleep. He woke up. He heard a sound. He said, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" He opened the kitchen door. No one was there. He opened the bathroom door. No one was there. He opened the door to the garage. And there was his father sleeping on top of the car. Jason yelled, "Papa, wake up!" His father jumped up, ran around the car 3 times, and went back to bed. Jason said, "This house is going crazy." But he was too tired to do anything about it, so he went back to bed. Jason went to sleep. He woke up. He heard a sound. He said, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" He opened the door to the kitchen. No one was there. He opened the door to the bathroom. No one was there. He opened the door to the garage. No one was there. He opened the door to the living room. No one was there. But the front door was open, and his father's footprints went out in the snow. And it was 50 below zero that night. "Yikes," said Jason. "My father's outside in just his pajamas. He will freeze like an ice cube." So Jason put on 3 warm snowsuits, 3 warm parkas, 6 warm mittens, 6 warm socks, and 1 pair of very warm boot sort of things called mucklucks. He went out the front door and followed his father's footprints. Jason walked and walked and walked and walked. Finally, he found his father. His father was leaning up against a tree. Jason yelled, "Papa, wake up!" His father did not move. Jason yelled in the loudest voice possible, "Help me out, guys. Papa, wake up!" His father still did not move. Jason tried to pick up his father, but he was too heavy. Jason ran home, got his sled, pushed his father onto the sled, and pulled him home. When they got back to the back porch, Jason grabbed his father's big toe and pulled him up the stairs. Bump, 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 bump. He pulled him across the kitchen floor. Then Jason put his father in the tub and turned on the warm water. The tub filled up. Glop, 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 glop. Jason's father jumped up, ran around the bathroom 3 times, and went back to bed. Jason said, "This house is going crazy. I'm going to do something." So he got a long rope, tied one end to his father's bed and one end to his father's big toe. Jason went to sleep. Zzz, 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 zzz. He woke up. He heard a sound. He said, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" He opened the kitchen door. And there was his father stuck in the middle of the floor. "Good," said Jason. "That is the end of the sleepwalking. Now I can get to sleep." In the middle of the night, Jason's mother was asleep. She woke up. She heard a sound. She said, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" She opened the door to the kitchen and that is the end of our story. What did Mom find at the end? She found Jason asleep on top of the fridge. So, boys and girls, our story today had a few different characters in it. We had Jason, we had his father, we had his mother at the end. The setting of our story was in their house, except for when they went outside. And the plot had everything to do with Jason's father continuing to sleepwalk while he slept, and then Jason going around and waking him up and getting him back in bed was the premise and plot of our story today. And it ended with finally Jason doing exactly what his dad had done each of those different nights when Jason got up to help his dad. Today we're going to be talking about something called inferencing. Can you say that with me? Inferencing. And when we make inferences, it's using different clues that we're given to make a conclusion, to form an idea about something. So in our story today, my question for you is, what do you think Jason's feelings were toward his father? How do you think Jason felt throughout the story? The story doesn't really tell us how Jason felt, but what do you think Jason felt like each time he woke up to go help his dad? He maybe felt a little frustrated. We can look back at our text to see how many times Jason woke up throughout the night, many times, and he wasn't able to sleep because he was getting up to help his dad get back into bed and wake him up from his sleepwalking so that he would be safe. So we can infer that Jason maybe felt a little frustrated. We can also make an inference, and we can make a conclusion and come up with the idea that Jason loved his dad. Now, nowhere in our story does it say that Jason loved his dad. But we know that Jason probably did, because you only love someone to take care of them. And Jason was making sure and taking care of his dad each time he got up so that he knew he would be safe. So we can see that Jason loved his dad. He kept getting up to take care of him. Another question I have for you is, what season do you think this story takes place in? Now, nowhere in our story did it tell us it took place in the summer, or took place in the fall, or took place in the winter. But we can make inferences, make ideas and conclusions about things in our story based off of our text, what it's saying in our story, but we also make inferences based on our pictures. And when it got to our story at the point where the dad slept walk outside, we can see in our photo that there's snow. And also over here in our site told us that he went out into the snow. It told us that Jason had to get dressed. Where was it? He put on 3 warm snowsuits, 3 warm parkas, 6 mittens, 6 socks. If this was the summertime, do you think Jason would need to put on all of those clothes? Probably not. This story takes place in the winter time. It tells us what degree it is, 50 degrees below zero. Now, we can also make the inference of this didn't happen. Where did this story take place? Where maybe in our country or where in the world? Where we live here in Riverside, you don't get snow like that. It doesn't get that cold here. This probably took place somewhere in another state or somewhere in the mountains where it gets a lot colder. So boys and girls, making inferences or making different conclusions and coming up with different ideas that you can then, like being a detective, use different clues in our story to answer questions that maybe weren't explicitly asked or answered in our story. But we can figure out this story probably takes place in the winter. It probably doesn't take place in Riverside. And we can figure out that Jason may have felt a little frustrated at times, having to get up with his dad and feeling tired. But we can also see that Jason loved his dad. He loved him enough to want to take care of him, to make sure he was okay each night. So boys and girls, today you're going to be practicing those inferencing, using different clues to figure out what is going on in different sentences that you're working with on your paper, and then answering different clues, kind of like a little game on the back to figure out, this is the question, how am I going to find the answer based on using the different text inferences. All right, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed our story today. Have fun making inferences today at home, and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.